Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chalavec Movies. My name is John and today I'm going to take you through my entire Criterion Collection. There's not a massive amount, I've got to admit, but the ones I have I really do recommend. So all the ones on this list I would say check them out, and I do think the Criterion have done either a brilliant job or an exemplary job on these releases. So first of all, I had to put my glasses on because when I did this video before I couldn't see any of these numbers on the spine. So this is why I put my glasses on to help me see it, and rather than have a whole video of me just looking blindly at the corner and saying, what's this number? Okay, first of all is a DVD, Flesh for Frankenstein, number 27. This movie is absolutely crazy. It's one of those so bad it's good movies. It's hyper violent. It's got the most ridiculous script ever. And the way that these people are saying the lines is as if they're, well, I don't think any of them can act. And it's so over the top, so mad, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I know you can't get this at all now, it's out of print. The chapter list there, they do have some classic lines. Instead of saying, you know, the normal chapter list, they have like lines from the films. Here's a few of my favourites in this one. Her nose, always in the gutter. You filth, you farmer, make him unconscious. Yeah. The film itself is, like I say, it's a stone cold classic. I would love to see this on Blu-ray. I don't know if Criterion ever done a Blu-ray of it, but this DVD is highly recommended in my case. In my estimation, I would love to think that you could see it in glorious high definition somewhere. I know they do have it in Australia, but I think the print on it is not that good. So following on from that is Spine number 28 DVD, and it is Blood for Dracula, or Andy Warhol's Blood for Dracula, or Flesh for Frankenstein, or Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. Same again, it's just absolutely nuts. It's got more or less the same actors in the Frankenstein playing the parts of Dracula and the manservants and all that. Udo Kier stars in the main star as Frankenstein in here, and also as Dracula in here. He's absolutely brilliant. He can't really speak English, but that doesn't take anything away from the fact that his accent is ultra heavy. Again, you've got some classic lines from the films. Here's a couple that spring to mind when I look at it. After the revolution, he'll be a disgusting person with no money. I just want my coffin back. Are your daughters virgins? I'm sure they're religious. They have a very nice house. If you haven't seen these two films, I do recommend them if you can get your hands on them or see them in any way, shape or form. I don't think they're streamed or anything. They're quite, if you see these films, you will know exactly what I mean. They are so bad, they are absolutely brilliant, absolutely legendary. And these were gifted to me by my good friend Horgos73, who I'm hoping after this lockdown is finished, we can get, I can get him on my channel and we can do some videos together. So these are all Blu-rays now, and the next one is Spine number 450, and it is Bottle Rocket. This is Wes Anderson's film. This was the first film I ever got from him, the first film I ever saw from him, and I've got to admit I really enjoyed it. I do think that these films are a little bit quirky. It has a brilliant book in here with the 75-year plan that they strike out, these three people, and they try and execute this 75-year plan. The film is really funny, but it's also very quirky as well, and I love the artwork on there. In fact, most of the Wes Anderson's films in the Criterion Collection do have the same artwork. Absolutely brilliant, but quite highly recommended, that one. It was the first time I'd ever seen one of his films. I'd heard people talk about them for a long time, but I've just never personally seen one. The next one is my other Wes Anderson's film, and I haven't seen this one yet, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. The disc is broken, but I didn't get this. I had to swap this disc over because I got it with another title from America, and I wanted to put. The thing is, you can't buy any spare Criterion cases, which is a bit of a shame. So this is Spine number 300, and I would imagine the film itself would be just as great as the other one is. I do want to check out all his films. I do like to think I can get them in a sale because with not checking this director out before, I didn't really want to pay big money for it if I didn't like his films. But I do like his films enough to think that I could actually get these maybe at full price, or some of them. There's a couple that I do want and I really want, so I probably would pay full price for them. So that's that one. So the next one is one of my favourite directors of all time, and that is John Waters, and the spine number is 863, and it is Multiple Maniacs. Now this is ultra low budget. It's the start of what you could call his movies that he went to shock and awe. If they've ever put Pink Flamingos into here, it would be absolutely brilliant, because Pink Flamingos is my favourite John Waters film, and it's obviously the most extreme as well. Some of the things inside it, you wouldn't believe you're seeing it. If you don't know what that's about, a lobster, you have to see the film to find out what it's all about. The next one is another John Waters film, and it is 1974's Female Trouble. Now this is another one where Divine plays a school kid who goes off the rails, and the film follows her in her quest to be sort of just a juvenile delinquent, and it's just, as I say, it's just absolutely brilliant. Very low budget. The picture quality it can't be better, because that's the way it was shot. But you get a brilliant presentation for me with the John Waters films in Criterion, and this is spine number 929. So the next film is spine number 995, and it is another John Waters film, Polyester, from 1981, one of my favourite of all of his films. And it's got in here, it's in the film, you've got a part where you can scratch and sniff, and it's got the actual odorama scratch and sniff thing in here. So at certain pages, at certain times in the movie, it'll have number 3 on it, so you scratch number 3 and you smell it. But I've put it into a sort of protective sleeve, because I'm not kidding, the whole thing stinks. So I'm trying to keep the smell out of the actual release itself, although that's a brilliant thing that they put the odorama scratch and sniff card in it. But wow, some of them smells smell bad, and you know exactly what I mean when you're thinking, what does it smell like? Wow, you don't really want your collection to smell like that, do you? The next one is spine number 903, and it is Jabberwocky. This was a film that I just sort of revisited very recently, and realised that this is just such a good film to look at. It's funny as well. The special effects are really down to the fact that the director here, Terry Gilliam from Monty Python fame, he has the dressings for the movie, the sort of all the characters, the garments that they're wearing are just so brilliantly done. You can get a real feel that this film could have been shot in the Middle Ages, but highly funny and very Monty Python-esque. The film's from 1977 as well, and Criterion did a good version of it, because I had it on DVD, and the DVD looked a bit sketchy to say the least. So I was really glad to upgrade this into Blu-ray, because this is one of the more recent Criterions. The next one is spine number 790 and 791, and this is the Lady Snowblood collection. There's 2 films here. Lady Snowblood and Lady Snowblood's Love Song of Vengeance. I think they're from 1973 and 1974. If you've ever seen Kill Bill, you will know exactly where Quentin Tarantino got most of his ideas from, because basically Kill Bill plays, well, it's kind of like a remix of Lady Snowblood in a way. You'll know what I mean when you see it. But if you like Kill Bill, you'll love this film, and you will see immediately how Quentin Tarantino was influenced highly by this film. The first one is an absolute masterpiece. It looks lovely on the Criterion. I did used to have it in Steelbook on Arrow, but this one came along. I was gifted this by my good friend Horgos73 again, and I thought, right, the Arrow one, there was no comparison. The Arrow one's good, but this one just blows it out the park. It is Region A locked though. Some of these are Region A and some of them are Region. I've got multi-region player, so it doesn't really bother us. But I do think that I would like them all to come out on Region A and Region B, but some of them don't make it across the pond and vice versa. So yeah, so that's highly recommended, that one, especially the first film. I can't really remember the second film, if I'm honest. So right when I got this next film, I bought it in a pack of 3 from eBay. And the 3 films were Antichrist, which I watched and did not like at all. I've talked about in a previous video to say it was one of the most depressing films I've ever seen. Although the Criterion version is good, just not for me. The other one was Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which I resold on eBay, which I really regret because I should have kept that. I can't believe I didn't keep that one. I really wanted it for this film. I'd get the whole lot for £20, which I couldn't believe, from Spain of all places. And it is spine number 466, In the Realm of the Senses, or I Know Corrida. The film itself is highly explicit, and I think it has been released uncut in the UK, but this is way back when, maybe by Tartan Cinema. And it tells a true story, believe it or not, of an incident that happened in Japan. It was quite notorious, this story, although I didn't know anything about it till I watched the film. And it's hard to explain what it's about. You'll have to see it. But if you want to watch some, beware though, it has got some very graphic scenes in it. And it is highly, highly controversial, I've got to admit. But I was glad to see it. There was a stunning version on this. It's one of those films that people talk about and never see. I don't see anybody talking about this film. But I don't even know if it's in print or not. But I really enjoy the film, the fact that I've got it. I don't watch it very often, but I like the fact that I can see it when I want to see it. The next film is an absolute stone cold classic, one that I didn't know anything about until Criterion started talking about it. It's obviously everybody talks about it on here. It is spine number 1035, Come and See. Now this film's from 1985, and it tells a true story about Belarus and people who lived there, and when the Nazis came in and burned their villages to the ground. But the acting by this young fella in here is unreal. And I've got to say that it's one of the most striking films that I've ever seen, and probably my favourite, or shall I say, it is the best film I think about war. I wouldn't say it's my favourite war film, because it's hard to have this as a favourite film, although I do really like it. I do think it's a hard watch. I think that seeing this lad go through mental torment is a tough watch, but it's also very rewarding as well. I think that this is just some of the best acting I've seen in any film at all. If you've seen this film, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the fact of it being so brutal, but it's shot in a way that's just absolutely amazing. I never heard anything about it, and to be honest, with it coming from 1985, I wouldn't have thought it could have been that good, but it's just absolutely brilliant. Highly, highly recommended if you can see it, although it's not available in the UK. I think there's some animal cruelty in here that forbids it coming into the UK. But getting past that, it's an absolute gem of a film, and I think it's one that everybody needs to see at least once in a lifetime. The next one is a silent film from 1928, and it is spine number 788, and it's Harold Lloyd's Speedy. I think this was his last silent film. I watched it recently and I had a brilliant time with it. I thought it was so funny, especially when they get into Coney Island and they go on the rides and all that. It's got some brilliant humour in it, and it's famous or infamous for having the first time that anybody gave the middle finger in a film. Believe it or not, when I saw it, I had to pause it to think, is he really doing that? I mean, 1928, you wouldn't imagine this could have even got through the censors or anything, but there you go. Maybe that's why it's a 12. But very funny film. Usually get it very cheap as well for some reason. It's always like a low price, but it looks lovely. It's a 4K restoration. And some of these are 4K restorations. They look absolutely brilliant. It begs the question, will we ever see a 4K by Criterion? So the next one is spine number 584, and it is Kuro Neko, the Japanese film, like a Japanese sort of ghost story, sort of I'm going to say like a ghost tale, and it's really, really watchable, as most Japanese horror films are. In fact, they blow most horror films out of the water, and if they've done the original version of a movie, then it's far superior to anything that anybody can remake to English-speaking audiences. And this is from 1968. It's a Region A. I think it's got another well, it's a high definition one. This I thought was a 4K one because it looks really nice. That cover's lovely there with that ghost appearing and disappearing. These films, I've been searching for this for a long time because I knew it was a film I really wanted to watch, and I chanced upon. I thought it's this one, and it is this one. It's such a good little atmospheric horror fable. And the next one is my favourite film of all time. It's spine number 166, and it is Down by Law from 1986. Black and white, as some of these are in black and white. It's got a new digital transfer, and the film looks absolutely spectacular. It's directed by Jim Jarmusch, and it stars Tom Waits, who's one of my favourite singers of all time. He's got the gruffest voice ever. Roberto Benigni there, who does an amazing comedic performance in here. And also John Lurie, who adds to this dynamic of these three people who really didn't get on, but they're stuck into a jail through no fault of their own. And it's such a good film. I've got to do a review of this film. I did buy the UK version of this, thinking, well, I can upscale it because this is region A. I can upscale it on my 4K player, but it didn't look anything like the Criterion one, because the cinematographer on here by a fellow called Robbie Muller is absolutely brilliant. I bought that card down in London, I think, and I stuck it in there. So, yep, that's my favourite film of all time, and it's done in Criterion, so you can't ask for better than that. Well, you can 4K, but will it ever come out in 4K? I highly doubt it. But it would look lovely. The next film is spine number 725, and it is Eraserhead. Another absolutely just film that I've loved ever since I saw it, 1977. There is a fun fact that I talk about in this film, that it was made over the space of quite a few years. I think it took even 7 years to make, and off and on. And there's a bit where the character here, Henry Spencer, he was going to open the door, and then had to stop filming for a bit. So when he opens the door on the other side, and it's just one scene, is actually a year has passed in real life, but you would never know that, because this was just shot when David Lynch could shoot it, and it's just absolutely brilliant. I love this film, can't get enough of it. The Criterion is just a stunning version, and of course it's David Lynch, so it's got to be good. And highly recommended, as all of David Lynch's are, and I'm so glad to see him in Criterion. The next one is spine number 1014, and it is Roma. And now I had to get this one because I heard loads of good things about it, and I did think it was a new film in black and white, so I thought, well, that ticks all the boxes for me. But what I wasn't expecting was that I didn't know anything about the film, although I did really enjoy it. There is a quite graphic scene in here which I won't go into, but it did make me think, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And it didn't put us off the film, don't get us wrong, but it didn't make us want to go and rush out and watch it again. In fact, when I do watch this film again, which I will watch again, the booklet in here is absolutely phenomenal as well. One of the best booklets I've ever seen in the Criterion, and actually it weighs a ton as well. This movie is very, like I say, it's very rewatchable, but I will be flipping that scene just going through it. I don't really want to go through that again. Wasn't expecting it to be so brutal in a way. The next one is spine number 909. It is the classic Night of the Living Dead. Another one in this sort of slipcase, it just looks absolutely brilliant. I won't take all these things out because it'll probably take this video will last for far too long. But an absolute gem of a movie. It's such a shame that George A. Romero was working on this to get it finally in his possession, because he lost the rights to it immediately because of a fault in the picture. And his copyright was taken off the picture by the sort of framing of it, so then it didn't have a copyright on it when it was struck. So so this was in public domain for years and years. It's only really just got in his possession. Unfortunately, just died just before it was released. But at least he knew it was coming out. Can you imagine a 50-year struggle to get this film back? Your own film, can you believe it? So all the other versions of this cannot touch it at all. This one is just absolutely, totally amazing. And if you ever go for Night of the Living Dead, do go for the Criterion, because you'll get the best version of it ever. So the next one is spine number 711, and it is the Beatles movie A Hard Day's Night. Really good special edition here. It's got loads of stuff inside it. It's the best version of this movie. I know it's out in the UK, but it's just not as good. And I do like the Beatles movies probably more than I do like the songs. I do think that they're great songwriters. I really do. I don't own any Beatles records, but what I do is I've always liked the Beatles films for some reason. I just think they're just mad and quirky, and Richard Lester directed this, who also directed Superman 3 and The Bed-Sitting Room, two of my favourite other films by him. So the next one is spine number 841, and it is the Lone Wolf and Cub series. I think there's about 5 or 6 movies in here, probably even 7. It does have a remix that it did called Shogun Assassin, which is absolutely brilliant. The music on there is just utterly 1980s sort of computer games music. It's brilliant, even though these movies are from the 70s. It does have, the spine does fold out, and you are able to get a diagram in there, which I would like to think there is other ones in the Criterion that does this. It's very hard to get out, mind, so I'm going to not do that without pulling it. But if you've got it, check out there, you do get a little diagram. So we do get an exploded diagram of one of the carts and how it's like a murder machine. But yes, absolutely brilliant. Of course, it's not out of print, but you never get this one cheap, unfortunately, but highly recommended, and they do look lovely. This is the Region A version, actually, not the Region B. So the next one is spine numbers 639, 640, 641 and 642. It is the Cutscene Trilogy. Now the first film here from about 1982 is Kuro Neko, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's one of those ones where it just goes, there's no talking, there's no people in it. It just has things that you watch, like rockets taking off, or slow motions of clouds, or clouds speeded up, people walking slowly, people walking fast, commuters. It's really excellent to watch. I've loved it. I showed my son, and it's one of the films you can't turn off when you put it on. The next two films is the sequels, Power Katsi, which is pretty good, it's not too bad, and Nagoi Katsi is the third one. I think there's a fourth one actually, but I can't remember what it's called. I don't think I own it, but if there is a fourth one, I do need to get it. Then that one there's more to do with like technology. That's more to do with you could say like foreign countries, and this one's just more like lifestyles. Absolutely brilliant. It's hard to explain, but you do get the films in their 3 different sections there, but it's absolutely brilliant. It's quite hard to get a hold of, but I do recommend it. If you I do Arrow have done a double version of Kuro Neko and Power Katsi, so I do recommend you watch these films, especially the first one, because when you put it on, although there's nothing really happens in it, you can't turn it off. That's about the best thing I can say about that. The music in it is absolutely brilliant from Philip Glass. He plays the music in all of the 3 films as well. Absolutely brilliant. Highly recommended. So the last one in my Criterion collection does not appear on my shelves, and you obviously know why. It is the gargantuan Godzilla Showa era box set, spine number 1000. So here it is, my protective case that I keep this in. I don't like it to put this out too much. It's just absolutely brilliant. Can't get enough of the movies in this. I do think that this is one of the best things you can buy. It's massive, it's huge. Will it ever come out in a smaller edition? I don't know if it will or not, but I'm so glad I got this. And the colours on it, as everyone who's got it in the flesh, when they see it, I can't believe how vibrant this is. It's just absolutely great. It lives in the cupboard, unfortunately, for itself. I do keep the disc on the shelves in another boxes. But so that's, I can't understand, I can't believe the Criterion actually got every single Godzilla from the Showa eras from 1954 to 1975 together. The amount of rights issues they must have had to bargain with Toho Pictures is just incredible. So anyway, so that's my whole entire Criterion collection. I hope you enjoyed it. So final thoughts on Criterion. I do love them as a company. I wouldn't buy every single one they've got, but I do think that when I go and buy a Criterion version of a film that I do like, I will get the best version of that film on Blu-ray. I would love to see them doing the 4Ks. I don't know if they will, but if they do, I would love to see what they can do, because if they can do spectacular work with a Blu-ray, what can they do with 4K? Okay, so thanks very much for watching. You take care, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers.